Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video of Littlewargame. This is going to be a slightly different video, not gameplay focused. We're going to be talking about the overall state of Littlewargame and some exciting news. And yeah, I'm just wanted to make a quick video to talk about it because this is pretty ground shaking in the world of Littlewargame. And you're looking at the page of Addicting Games. It is a browser vendor website. They have all these links to these cool different games here. And they have actually recently purchased the rights to Littlewargame, and they have announced they're going to start active development. So I wanted to talk about kind of what that means and also look at their statements and some of the new patches, because patch 4.0 has finally dropped. The prophecy has been fulfilled, as we've seen the Redditors commenting. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about it, and let's dive in here and read this announcement. This is from Chris at A Games. It says, as some of you may have heard, big changes are coming to Littlewargame. Some of you may have heard of Addicting Games or addictinggames.com. We are one of the oldest and most well-recognized game sites and are in the process of transitioning from Flash into HTML5 and IO games. We've discovered Littlewargame and absolutely loved it. We see it as an incredible use of technology and want to invest in it. To that end, we have purchased Littlewargame from the previous owner-developer, JBS, who's no longer had an interest in continuing to develop it, and we've hired Zhao, one of the Littlewargame's most long-standing community leaders, to help us maintain and update the code, and we plan to continually finance patches and updates. This update, patch 4.0, will have mostly quality-of-life changes. There's another summary in actual Littlewargame, so I'll talk about that when I get there. But it says, what are our future plans for Littlewargame? We want to give it some love with promotions on some of our social media outlets and web game hubs, including addictinggames.com and iogames.com. This means that many of you will finally have someone to play against. We want to find us updates and patches, with a tentative update schedule being every month, which is, in Littlewargame terms, that's like light speed. Zhao will take the lead on this and will be a community-driven process with oversight and infrastructure provided by AG. We just set up a dev environment for Zhao this week and got Littlewargame on a more reputable CDN and stateside host. Interesting to use the idea, reputable CDN. US players should already notice less latency given the servers are in the US instead of Germany. Plan to add more servers, however, for European players as the player base grows. That's it for now. We don't want this game to lose any of its charm by dumbing down mechanics or altering fundamentals. We have a lot of ideas for really for making Littlewargame bigger, and we intend to sit on them for a while, at least until the community is happy with some killer new updates and patches, stuff you guys have been asking for. One idea we had to emphasize the modding aspect game to new players more than the RTS aspects. And then they say, what's the story with JBS, the creator? He's actually working on the new project and is very much still in the picture, though not actively working on Littlewargame. We intend to use him as a resource for understanding the Littlewargame code base. Zhao and I will be happy to answer questions below. Wow. So before we even get into the updates, a couple of thoughts. The first one is, this is going to be incredible for the game's long-term sustainability and player base. I mean, the fact that Littlewargame is going to be going up on these pretty major websites is really cool. That'll bring in new players. It'll make the game way more visible than it currently is. And they probably will even, it's possible they even do some web promotions and ads, which in the past have spiked player bases, like in Littlewargame, pretty significantly. And that's how most of us found the game, was through ads or through things on Reddit. But having this kind of official force promoting the game is going to bring more people to it, and that's a really beautiful thing. And then, of course, because there's going to be continual updates, the other side of that's going to probably retain a little bit more of those players, which is really, really, really cool. It's something that needed to happen for Littlewargame. It's clear that we've kind of been in a slump of no growth and no new updates. Once JBS kind of moved on to other things, it's clear that JBS is a really talented coder, and it seems like he's reading into the lines here, might actually be working for Addicting Games as well, and actually doing some other project. I know he made a very popular Flash game Slay.io, so he might be working on the IO side with Addicting Games themselves. So it's cool that he's still like around to use as a resource. They can kind of he can probably talk with Zhao and help understand some of that code, which is really good. So yeah, this is absolutely groundbreaking and exciting news for Littlewargame. The server thing is a little funny because I do feel like the player base tends to be European heavy. So I'm not sure what that effect will have. But of course, in general, I certainly haven't had very many issues latency to Germany I'm West Coast USA, so hopefully that doesn't have too much of an effect. I think I saw one commenter saying that the change of the server negatively affected them, but that's just going to be a reality, I guess. It's interesting that they talk about don't want the game to lose any of its charm by dumbing down mechanics or altering fundamentals. As a kind of a competitive 1v1 guy, that's very exciting to hear because what I would be sad to see happen is if they fundamentally change what the game is, like in its competitive one versus one state. Like I would hope when I read this that none of the gameplay aspects change, like the basic RTS mining, making units. Like I'd love to see maybe a new faction, new units, that kind of thing come into the game. But my biggest concern with a company like Addicting Games coming in and being like, well, now we own this game, we can do whatever we want with it, is just using that basis to create basically a completely new game. And then basically destroying that 1v1 scene, which I'm just saying as kind of like the doomsday thing. It doesn't seem like that's what's happening here. They've really made it clear that they want to not alter fundamentals. They've brought Zhao in, who I trust completely to take really good care of our game. So that's the two things that are really, really cool to see and hear. I hope it's in their best interest to continue to do that, to not allow the game to become something different, something that it's not, because we have all sorts of web games that do all sorts of crazy things, but really Littlewargame is the only game that does what it does so well. And even as an RTS, even if we stack it against other RTSs, I think in the 1v1 sense, it's one of the best 1v1 games I've played. And in my opinion, it stacks up well against games like 8-Bit Armies or even Ash of the Singularity. Like these other RTS games that have come out are not even that interesting in the 1v1 sense. So really hope that they don't change that fundamental beauty of the 1v1 RTS that Littlewargame has. And it does see here that they want to emphasize the modding aspect to new players and kind of focus on the the mod scene and the ability to create your own maps. I think that's beautiful. That's really what's kept Littlewargame alive over these years, even though that's not something that I find very compelling personally. But it seems like that's what's kept the game alive, really, because the 1v1 scene is even in the small pond of Littlewargame, the competitive 1v1 scene is an even smaller pond, with really, most of the time there's scarcely 10 players in the world, it feels like, that actually play at a decent level of 1v1. So it makes sense to focus on that, especially if they don't want to fundamentally change the main game. Then it does make sense to focus on that, and I think it's a really great thing because you can just load up this browser-based game, and you can make your own game inside that. The tools are really very user-friendly. It doesn't take. It's not like some kind of crazy world builder that you have to learn. So I think it's really cool that they're focusing on that, and I think they should market that, and that's really good. And more players in the game is better because some of those players will bleed off to what I like, which is the 1v1. Yeah, and they have lots of ideas, obviously, but they are willing to take it slow and engage with the community, which is also really cool because I think another one of Littlewargame's biggest strengths is the tightness of the community, and I really hope that kind of continues to feed into the game, and as it grows bigger, which it almost certainly will with this kind of support, hopefully that tight community stays there. And just in general, I want to say, like, huge congratulations to Zhao, and it's totally well deserved for the amount of work that over the years he's put in as a mod, even doing coding, just being a strong pillar in the community is really, really cool. And yeah, it's good to hear that he's being given the ability to continue to work on Littlewargame and to be that community manager / developer. So that's really exciting. So hopping over to the game, let's quickly look at. Sorry, Vizix, I'll talk to you later. Let's quickly look at. Sorry, I'm going to quickly change. Never. Let's look at the patch 4.0. So this dropped yesterday, I believe, or perhaps the day before. But again, we have kind of an overview. Addicting Game is taking over from Jibs, previous developer. Zhao will be bringing new updates to the game. We're excited to roll out new features and updates for you. So there's more features, but let's look at some of the big ones. And there's some big ones here. No like gameplay changes, but some of the quality of life ones are huge. So added a button to save your most recent replay. My goodness, this is a quality of life change. There have been so many games, especially for myself as someone who likes to make videos. Oftentimes, I play a game, it was a good game, I just hit exit, and then like, shoot, I could have saved that replay. That would have made a really cool video. Or that was a really cool game to save, or that was a really cool game to go back and watch, because I need to learn something from it. So the ability to save replay, and it ends up being a button down here between editor and load replay, I believe, after you play a game. It's huge, beautiful. I'm really excited for that. Players can move themselves to spectator in the game lobby. That's pretty nice. There's a lot of specking that goes on, and the ability to just jump in and pull yourself down, pretty cool. Pressing M toggles chat, mute into match, pretty nice. Added ability to change maps while in game lobby, and then again, really just a quality of life thing that like you don't have to go back, search again, create it. Like it's really just a nice thing to be able to do. Yeah, they've really helped the friends list and a little bit of extra, aesthetic stuff. Yeah, indicator for printing friend invites. I mean, you guys can kind of read through this on your own. This is all good stuff, but not stuff that's like really ground shaking. I mean, I usually ignore the friends list, so it is cool they put the clan there. So I think it is good to start focus. Like if they can continue to develop the social stuff, like the clan stuff, and in general just anything that like it's community building, that's really good. Lobby list is alphabetized. Just in general, throwing the guests on the bottom is nice because now you can kind of see the actual players on the top and then the guests are on the bottom. So that's cool. It'll even it might alphabetize by, I'm not sure if it does by clan tag, but it would be cool if clan tag people all showed up at the same place. Yeah. Lobby map list indicates custom maps. Map searches focus on open. Again, this is alphabetized. And then we have some gameplay and ranked. We have the pool. This is the same pool that we've had, but hopefully it won't be switching around because it seemed like for a while it was switching around. The only interesting one is I think Thieves' Isle is in there. Ravage is still in there, and Silent Fjord is in there, which means, let's see, which map is not? I think we lost... Which one did we lose? I'm trying to remember. I'd have to think about it more. There's some maps in here that they took out, but I don't remember exactly which one they are. But these are all solid maps. Just kind of updated the what's it called? Generalized. This looks a little weird. I don't know if this is a bug or if this is how they wanted it to look, but the actual ladder ranking being shown is a little off, I think. But I do like the new aesthetics. If you look at all divisions, they have alpha, beta, gamma, kind of a new and improved aesthetic, but that's pretty cool. I'd say the biggest one for me is definitely the save replay. They changed that one's the biggest quality of life change overall. what I really like to see is a bit of a cleaning up of the map pages. I'm not sure how they would do that, but I think that would be one of the changes that I'd love to see the most. Like maybe have a button for like competitive 1v1. You know, they do have a custom mod map, but even the idea of every map's a custom mod map, so that like doesn't really change much. So I'd like to see that get cleaned up. But in general, like this is really exciting for Littlewargame. This is gonna probably significantly change the player base. I hopefully make the game like just way more alive, way more active as players are brought in. And we're going to see some really cool updates. We've already seen, I mean, we were waiting for 4.0 for so long even, and it's finally here. It's very exciting. And yeah, I can't wait to see how the game develops further. I'm really optimistic that it's going to be in a good direction, but you know, at the end of the day, even if we do, I guess my only fear is that we will lose that really just sharp 1v1 competitive scene that we have, because even if they stick mostly with that, but if they decide to make some changes in that, like, you know, that would suck. But I will say that, like, at the end of the day, this had to happen. Littlewargame, we really weren't going anywhere without something like that. So even if there's a risk of losing something, this, you know, you can't not be super excited for this, because it just had to happen. And I'm incredibly excited. I mean, I think I would hope that I think a lot of the 1v1 players are going to come back. I mean, I already see some faces in here that I haven't seen in a long time. So that's going to be really exciting to have that kind of influx of old players coming back, new players coming in, and yeah, just incredibly excited, guys. It is a new era in Littlewargame, and I will see you guys there. Catch you around.